Hello and welcome back, everyone, to those watching and to those gathered here. I see the room has filled up more for this next morning talk here at the heart of Europe. And I think now this particular one has a special place in my heart, this next topic and this next conversation we're going to have. So I'm delighted now to welcome to the stage here with me Katerina Udut, who is the CEO of Kyiv-based media consultancy, MRM, and the head of International Forum Kyiv Media Week. And now the company's mission is to foster the development of the Ukrainian media industry and establish strong connections between the creative sectors of Ukraine and other countries worldwide. So it's all about Ukraine right now, but in a very different light, I think. And I think the main point here, and this is what I like, Katerina, is that we're going to be talking and looking at the bright sides of Ukraine in terms of what it can do, what it already is doing, and how resilient it is in the movie and media industry. So welcome here on the stage.
Thank you. Thank you, Sasha. Thank you for having me here. Great to share our insights and thoughts about Ukraine. And yeah, there are always bright sides.
Absolutely, the bright side of life, and I think I like this already. So the image that's come up here behind us is already a lot of things to talk about. I think some people recognize certain imagery here. We're going to be, I think, looking at different parts of this. So let's begin with that, because right away from the start, I mean, obviously with the ongoing war, I mean, we see the images. This is a terrible thing that the world sees on a daily basis. But at the same time, from my experience as well, I focus a lot on the geopolitics and business, but if we're looking also at the media landscape, I mean, how has this impacted media in Ukraine, and what's changed as the war has continued? How has the media industry been resilient in all of this?
Of course, it was very devastating and difficult for the media industry and for all people, for all the spheres at the very beginning of the war. I'm not going to tell the whole story, how we managed to resurrect, to survive and to recover, but we are doing it step by step and slowly, and thanks for hard work of all the people in Ukraine, thanks for our army, of course, for having the possibility doing this. Of course, the landscape changed a lot. Some of the biggest players were collapsed. Some new TV channels were launched during this period. The audience taste changed a lot in terms of content they want to consume and watch. They understood themselves that they strictly want to watch Ukrainian language content most of all. And it's quite challenging for the producers and broadcasters these days to keep this balance between what viewers want, to have opportunity to provide them with this content these days, and to provide them with the freshest news. And on the other hand, they have to keep somehow entertain them, because people have to be have to get a chance to be distracted for this terrible reality around them. So that's the key point these days.
Yeah.
Also, of course, we had a shift from some people simply cannot watch regular TV right now, for example, because due to technical reasons, cable operators do not work anymore in lots of parts in Ukraine. People started watching TV on local VOD platforms, regular TV on VODs, of course. And also it stimulated the boom of VOD platforms in Ukraine, both local and somehow even giants like Netflix right now is more open to Ukrainian content. If you watch Ukrainian Netflix, you will see that tops on it are like locally produced content, Ukrainian films and TV series, they are on top. And it means that Ukrainians are ready and want to support local producers and want to listen to their own stories, and they are totally ready for them.
Yeah, I think also what you mentioned, that there's that desire now for more people trying to get content in Ukrainian. I think, how has that impacted also, I think, maybe more of a focus on, I think, actually the resurgence probably of Ukrainian identity, Ukrainian I think also stories. I think that's probably also now been more of a focus now, right, in terms of new productions.
Of course. It's a kind of, it's not a boom of Ukrainian identity or something like this, but it's more obvious these days because we want to support local producers, not only in terms of content, but everything, in terms of fashion, in terms of food, or whatever it is. In the same way it works for the content they want to consume, because local stories, they understand the price and the value of these stories that were developed by your own hands, simply.
And also, you mentioned, I think, the challenges and trying to adapt to everything. Obviously, a country under fire, producing content, that's no easy feat. But I think also, let's look at the challenges of also financing, and how are Ukrainians trying to deal with that? And what are some of the ways that you've been seeing the adaptation and what's needed to, let's say, help in this regard?
In terms of financing, or the most difficult question, because that's right, we are having like amazing talents, amazing ideas, amazing storytellers and facilities, cost-effective business models and everything, but of course we are lack of money these days. That's why we are so much in need of great partners and a bit more belief in us as before, a bit more credit, I mean. Of course, there are lots of great cases of local, collaboration between local Ukrainian players, between broadcasters and some production companies, in terms of new business models, the way they try to develop and produce this Ukrainian content these days, new content, I mean. Also, we have great case, we understand that they have to work hard to gain international partnerships on board. It's one of the key directions of possibility for the industry to live and survive and to develop. We are not new for the international community, but these days we have to speak louder and work like twice, 5 times harder than before. And I say that's a great case. I call it a competitive collaboration. We have Ukraine Content Club, the initiative that was launched at the very beginning of the full-scale war, uniting like biggest Ukrainian media groups and creative powerhouses, I'd say. It is Starlight Media, 1+1 Media, 𝗶ሔር𝗶𝗴 public broadcaster, and 𝗶ሔር Group, biggest production company of Ukraine. And we united our forces, because I helped them to be presented at the international market, to work together and to speak commonly to our partners across the globe and suggest the stories that are looking for new partnerships and present the possibilities of cooperation that Ukraine can offer these days.
I think also in the
in normal life, they're like competitors. So of course, you understand.
But also, I think what's unique is you're very much functioning as a bridge, between, I think, Ukraine and also, let's not forget, many Ukrainians that are across the world, across Europe. So how does that impact, right now, pushing forward the media landscape? Because I know that many Ukrainians are refugees, but they're also working in different aspects around Europe and the CEE. So how is that dynamic now, looking forward?
It's quite tough situation, of course, in general. I mean, yes, you're right. There are a lot of Ukrainians around Europe simply that left the country because of this hard situation. Due to some statistics, if I'm not mistaken, Ukraine lost, creative sector of Ukraine lost like 20% of its professionals. Someone simply left the country and left the industry at all. Someone went to the front line to defend our country. Some are working in Europe, but they serve for other European companies as well, which is good for them. They can realize themselves and develop. And somehow maybe it's good that European companies can see how professional and highly skilled Ukrainians are and hardworking as well. So it's very controversial situation. In terms of building bridge, you are right, because content industry, that's one of these tools that can prove and show the true story and explain to the audiences globally what is Ukraine and who are our people, that we share common values, common stories, and especially having like Ukrainian as your neighbor or your colleague nearby sitting at your desk in office or whatever. you simply living through these stories together.
Yeah, and let's explore that because I know it's on here already. I mean, there are many images on here, Katerina, but I think there's one in particular that sticks out to me. I think already touched on some of this really interesting stories that are coming out of Ukraine that are, I think, that have a lot of potential for a global audience, right? Not just for Ukrainians. And I believe that is this lovely young lady animated here
green hair
on the top left. Yes, with the green hair, exactly right.
𝗏𝘁𝗶, of course.
So tell us a little bit about 𝗏𝘁𝗶.
𝗏𝘁𝗶 is an amazing story. I mean, not itself, the story, because it was based on a play 𝗶hez 𝗀𝗶𝗴𝗵𝗁. This play has like over 100 years. It's our, yes, Ukrainian heritage, absolutely. But it's amazing animation, feature animation. It was created for more than 8 years. So the creators literally put their souls and all the passion into this movie. It's also unique because it reflects Ukrainian folk stories and values and everything. And producers managed, during the years of its development, they managed to create the whole universe of 𝗏𝘁𝗶. I mean, everything's starting from some merch, some products that were like 𝗏𝘁𝗶 IP on them, and there are whole department stores in Ukraine branded like 𝗏𝘁𝗶. People, and already a generation grew up on this 𝗏𝘁𝗶, I would say, since the very beginning the animation was launched. And it gets great success in Ukraine. It's already like 30 weeks in cinemas, and it's a top-rated movie right now in terms of box office, etc. And as well as in Europe, in France, in Germany, it's got like enormous for Ukrainian movie quantity of admissions. And in Poland, for example, there are, if I'm not mistaken, over 450,000 tickets sold.
Wow.
And it's not about Ukrainian versions; they locally adapted. I mean, for these countries.
So we're looking at dubbing and subtitling.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was sold to over like 160 countries. So I mean, the story touches the hearts of viewers around the world. And thanks to 𝗏𝘁𝗶, lots of other Ukrainian movies right now are having a bit easier way to audiences around the globe, because people understood that, Ukrainian story can be really cool and speaks same language to families, to children, and the values are really great.
And I think it's also something unexpected, right? Because we're sort of used to seeing a certain dynamic. People are looking at Ukraine in a certain way, but I think this is also showing the potential, and I think not just of the story, but also of, as you said, the producers behind it, the creative and the business case behind it. Right? And is there something we can see as a little sample of this here today with 𝗏𝘁𝗶?
Of 𝗏𝘁𝗶? Not 𝗏𝘁𝗶. I'm having another case.
All right. Okay. So let's hear the next one. Yeah, sure.
Let me tell you a bit about this case before we watch the video. Talking about possibilities to cooperate. Some people would think that it's impossible these days to have something common with Ukraine. But I would like to present you a case of anthology, 6-episode anthology, Those Who Stayed. It's over here. This case, why it's so unique. There are 5 countries, 5 partners on board. Ukrainian studio Film UA. There is Rotero Studios, and there are 3 Nordic public broadcasters on board, NRK, YLE, and SVT. And it was produced these days, and it tells amazing stories of people who were left in Kyiv on the first days of the full-scale war. And it's really touching. Like, please, let's watch the video.
So let's take a look now at the video.
Кажи.
Андрюша, почалося, прокидайся.
Скажіть, а що случилось?
Якщо війна почалася.
Чекайте, може обійдеться ще?
Зараз спробуй не боятися. Нам треба просто швидко вдягтися. Хто його зі мною за кордон випустить? Хто я йому?
Ти йому мама, Настя. Ти йому теж мама.
За мною заїдуть скоро. Є одне місце.
Бувай.
Ну попрощайся хоч, Настя! Настя!
Підросла, Макс!
Треба возити дітей за кордон, часу немає. Ти розумієш, вони хочуть взяти Київ за 3 дня.
Відкрийте якийсь телеграм-канал, почитайте, що робиться в країні.
Тоді давайте повернемось, бо я не можу просто.
Так, а як ви будете шити саме?
Приблизно як кожен день.
До цього.
А де ховатись під час обстрілів?
Мне не удалось найти 𝗬𝗁𝗶𝗵 собственник.
Я кажу, де ховатись?
Може, вони і не захоплять нас за 2 тижні?
That's why I have to stay.
To die?
To resist. If there are enough of us, we might have a chance.
Зараз у мене день розписаний по хвилинам. І я нічого не боюсь.
Що, ти думала, я не повернусь чи що?
I think really moving, and also I think the side that we don't hear enough about, right? Those who stayed. So really, really
Absolutely.
powerful. Yeah, wonderful.
Thank you.
So I think there's so many more things here, from the opportunities through animation, through talented
Animation,
artists,
talents,
everything.
services. We are open to all kind of collaborations. We are quite creative to find a way to cope with the world.
And
Believe
here
us.
we have Katerina Udut, who is the one to build
Yeah.
those bridges.
I
to
would
speak.
be
So
happy to.
thank you so
to
much for
help.
sharing all of this.
Thank you for having
Thank you.
me here.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Sasha.